I'm Peter Cole, and welcome to Dialogues in Modeling. In this interview, I speak with Tasir about her agent-based model for social cohesion and well-being, as it was uploaded to Comsas.net. In the conversation that follows, she explains the purpose of the model, its central findings, and some of the challenges involved in developing and sharing it. I hope you enjoy the video.
Here, Peter, you can see this is basically this model works in such a way that this is a community where a couple of, some people are living, and this model basically presents a society where you can have some positive, some negative interactions depending upon, what sort of values the society is being built on. And behind this, in the coding, what we have done is that there are 6 or 7 positive eudaimonic human qualities that the materialistic side of life, where you need to consume, you need to provide for your body, you need to, so all those things are coming from materialistic side. And then there is this spiritual and the value aspect of humanity. So this model is representing both. So here you can see that this is total material energy, this is value energy at birth, which is at starting, this is interactions are zero, so this energy is also zero. And you come up with some of the value energies, which is hedonics have a range of values from 0 to 5, that is the lower end of the spectrum, and then eudaimonics have a positive end of spectrum. And this is more of, you can say that this is a scale that has roughly been designed for representation. So and this is the total well-being of the hedonics, and this is the total well-being of eudaimonics. Okay, so when we say go, depending upon the slider, humans are born and they die and they interact. So behind this is basically the Ibn Khaldun's cyclical theory of history, which states that societies, when they are interacting with each other, whenever the eudaimonic people or eudaimonic interactions will increase, there will be a spike in the total well-being of the society. And as the people become too hedonic, there'll be a drop. And that is how human societies have been going in the spirals of ups and downs. This model basically was created to see if that happens or not. And you can see it on the screen, that I won't say that these cycles are there. It's absolutely sharp cycles right now. We are working on this to enhance it further, but for the time being, this model has been accepted. If the society has positive cohesion, and they have altruism, and they have cooperation, and they have compassion, those sorts of values behind the scene actually are going to have a positive impact on the overall well-being of the society. And if and that depends if the total positive learning and total positive interactions are more as compared to total negative interactions, because these things are happening randomly. The births of how many hedonics, how many eudaimonics are there, it's not in the control of I'm not dictating the model. This is happening on random basis. So
Right,
these
right.
yeah, these black people are the hedonic people, and the red ones are eudaimonic people. So this is the sort of thing. So the model basically shows that societies which have better social cohesion will have better well-being in general. So when I was writing this paper, to validate, what we did was that from World Value Survey, we picked
Mm-hmm.
up the data of 152 countries
Oh,
uh,
wow.
for which the data was available, and we constructed an index of social cohesion
Wow.
from like 79 different sub indicators. And on the other hand, the well-being was constructed on the basis of Human Development Index,
Mm-hmm.
HDI,
Yeah, yeah.
and plus their GDPs, or what monetary growth they were getting, and etc. So both the indices, when we ran the logistic regression, it showed that apart from 5 or 6 countries which were outliers, mostly were following this trend. And it was seen that societies like Japan and Finland, and
Hmm.
those societies which were more like more cohesive in their general behavior, uh, they were performing better in their overall well-being index. So this was something interesting that we
Yeah.
were
Can I ask a question about that?
more
Easy.
well-being of the people can be ensured.
Wow.
Something
Okay.
like that. Yeah, because this is not purely monetary. What I'm trying to say
Right.
is
Right.
that that index means that um, do you feel safe in your society? Like,
Right. Right.
are you able to express yourself? Can
Hmm.
you make your own choices? Can you
Hmm.
express, and is your
Hmm.
opinion heard? Something like that. So it's not only your monetary satisfaction, it's also general overall well-being. Yeah, actually, if you, it was surprising for me as well, because when I started reading Haldun's idea, because he was the first sociologist in this world,
Right.
sociologist, whatever. So
Hmm.
the thing is that when I was reading him, and he said that if a society has too much of money and the resources, that is when cohesion stops existing, because people become self-centered and competitive and greedy, and that actually power struggle initiates in societies. And he has given us time span of 120 years, like he says 3 or 4 generations. He also says that we have connections till our 3 generations. The fourth generation doesn't know the
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
great great grandparents. You don't know
Hmm.
anything about them. That
Yeah.
is why values do get transferred, and people try to respect their lineage and this and that, and
Right.
their connection. But after some time, nothing remains. So every generation starts focusing on themselves. If you So what he says, that if a society is in a slump, then it generate cultivating values like compassion and kindness and
Hmm.
cooperation is going to be the catalyst for bringing the society back on the right track.
Right.
But if you people, and he says, and this is something that history has seen also
Right.
globally everywhere in societies,
Right.
that whenever people become too powerful, they somehow corruption seeps in, and it's very hard for the societies, no matter which part of the world you see. It's very hard for the people with power to remain uncorrupt, because somehow power gets to your
Right. Right. Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
yeah,
That's
exactly. So this is
right.
something which is apparent in the model that we have
Well,
constructed.
that makes a lot of sense. I'm not. My background isn't primarily history. My background is primarily pure mathematics. But it
Hmm.
makes I in mathematics we like to play the game. If I've proven something which sounds obvious, but the construction is not obvious, then I'm onto something great. And I think that's what's happening here in the sense that we see in history the collapses of civilizations and other societies that were very prosperous in certain senses, right?
Yes,
Right? And we have to ask the question, well, why do they collapse in their prosperity? Right?
yes,
That's
that
not
is a
that's not an obvious thing, but it kind of becomes obvious when you think, well, yeah, they always kind of collapse in their prosperity. Why would that happen? But they're prosperous. You would think they wouldn't, but your model is showing that these asymmetries accumulate in such a way that the lack of cohesion is no longer there to help enable these growth, both economic,
exactly
emotional, right? And the lack of cohesion, which is necessary for accumulation of resources and
everything.
values.
Yeah. That is
Just
what it is, because,
wow.
let me give you a little background of why we started working on this
Yeah.
model. The thing is that, Peter, nowadays, humanity is undergoing, and I'm not saying a particular, group of people, I'm saying
Right.
humanity in general is
Yeah.
undergoing changes where everybody feels that there is there is extreme hedonism in the world where
Mhm.
nobody is caring what the other is suffering from,
Right.
what we are going through. And there is a rat race of making more
Mhm.
money, having better cars, living in
Right.
better homes, showing off, and whatever. So, and this trend is everywhere. Again, this is a
Mhm.
global, problem. And what we are seeing, extreme conflicts,
Mhm.
maximum, and this most surprising, we think that wars and famines and these are the things in economics, we cater them as the biggest catastrophes and where maximum death tolls are expected. These days, if you calculate the average death rate in any society, it's highest. We are not in a permanent state of war. We like, there
Right.
are some, but that's globally, if you measure, this is the worst time to humanity in as compared to rest of the history. And
Right.
yet we are in an age where we are most mechanized, most
Right.
IT supported, most AI
Right.
supported, and infrastructurally, I think humans have progressed to the best in this era.
Mhm.
Then this is a big question. Why there is the maximum amount of disease and famines and
Right.
conflicts and wars, and because somewhere we have left the humanity behind and we have
Mhm.
moved forward. So we just wanted to see, we were trying to read different historians, different
Mhm.
sociologists, and different other people. What did they suggest? Why would this happen? Why is it happening? So
Right.
it brought us to this theory of cyclical theory of history, that there'll be cycles, in human, society. So we wanted to test it. And what better way to do it than agent-based modeling?
Right.
And NetLogo helped us.
Mhm.
I am from a social science subject where
Mhm.
we do not have much support of simulations and these things.
Mhm.
We were not using it before, but now,
Mhm.
as we can now, because economics gives us very strict assumptions that we have to,
Right.
move within.
Mhm.
Um, I was very glad using agent-based modeling, building this model. But I know there is a lot of room of improvement in the model. I
Of
need
course.
to. We are working on it, and maybe
Mhm.
this is a lifetime, goal that we have to make this society more complex, more
Mhm.
realistic, and
Right.
But for the time being, it's proving a point. It's
Right.
bring
Mhm.
urbanization has actually, the
Right.
has uprooted people from where they actually belonged. And in cities we have so many different groups of so many different kinds of people living there. So this social cohesion has nothing to do with one type of people, one geographical location. It means that how deeply you can feel about all other humans who are
Mhm.
living, whether they belong to your religion, your caste, your
Right.
creed, your race, doesn't matter. It matters if you can feel the humanity for them. And if you are feeding yourself, are you feeding your neighbor? If he's
Right.
going hungry, something like that, who's your neighbor doesn't matter. Okay,
Right.
it's all about, uh, for example, if there is shortage of something in the society, are you trying to grab everything down from the aisles and storing in your house, or
Right.
are you, trying to be more conservative in the use of that thing so that the others can
Right.
have it too? This is the sort of mindset. This talks about mindsets. It doesn't, the solidarity doesn't come from sticking together, living together. No,
Right.
this comes from,
It's
yeah,
not a physical distance.
yeah, it's exactly. So you living in Arizona, me living in Bahawalpur, if
Right.
we can feel for each other and if
Right.
we can help each other, this is solidarity. It can come from anywhere. When we write papers, when we are doing the agent based modeling and we are putting
Mhm.
our models at comsess.net, what sort of support I felt, it's still the publications that you have to go for. When you are making models, you
Mhm.
need to disseminate the knowledge and you want people to read it and understand.
Mhm.
At that time, what happens is that world generally, in publication world, there, are not lots of open-minded approach towards this sort of subjective approach to measurement. For example, my
Right.
index of cohesion, total social cohesion, and total well-being, both of these indices are subjective, and they
Right.
are not literally. If I'm saying 0 to 10, this is not literal sense of 0 to 10. This is
Right.
just a spectrum, and
Right.
I'm trying to gauge it on more figurative sense than literal. Okay,
Right.
so
Right.
when we send our paper for publication, the type of comments that come back to, I'm still reviewing my paper,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to submit in March this one. So the thing is that the type of objections people do, those who are not very familiar with the
Right.
agent based modeling, they say, okay, how can you justify that you are giving a value of, say, 1 to 5 to hedonic people and 6 to 10 to eudaimonics?
Right.
It doesn't matter. If you give 6 to 10 to hedonics and 1 to 5 to
Right. It's
eudaimonics, it
just a
still
scale.
doesn't, yeah, it's just a scale and it
It's
doesn't
just a
make,
scale.
but making people realize. And then, in this model, we have set a radius of 2, like 2 boxes around you in any direction.
Right.
That's a neighbor. Okay. And you can have those positive
Mm-hmm.
and negative interactions with your neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously, on the agent based models, it's very hard to make people realize that, for one, in real life also, you have most interactions with people living around you. But we do have now social media, and we have,
Right.
global interactions all the time. Like
Right.
me and you are interacting
Right.
right now.
Right now.
So, yeah, exactly. But that I could not translate yet in the agent
Mm.
based model. I haven't defined it in my environment. Maybe as I am working on it continuously to improve it, maybe I can give that sort of code to
Right.
the model, and I may be able to cooperate it later on, but I haven't done it yet. So
Next
these are
steps.
yeah. But and, and the best part of it is, see, there's always be a give and take between how realistic you can get
Mm-hmm.
and how calculative or simplistic you can get.
Right.
If you It's impossible to model the absolute reality because reality is too complex,
Right. It's
and
just
having that complex a model takes away the spirit of understanding. We are built areas to polish, but the one main conclusion that we can see out of the model is pretty evident, you know.
right. Right. There's these cyclical
Yeah,
trajectories that
graphs that you can see the
right.
well-being going up and down along with social cohesion. So,
Right.
and you can see very strong correlation
Mm-hmm.
between the two indices. Like, I would also like to thank COMSES,
Mm-hmm.
as a platform for actually giving us an opportunity to present our work, which goes beyond the limitations of normal assumptions that we had to, remain
Right.
within while calculating pure quantitative mathematical or econometric models that we usually work with. So
Mm-hmm.
this platform gives us, an ability to share our work,
Mm-hmm.
which where we can incorporate and slowly build upon
Mm-hmm.
from, assumptions beyond assumptions and beyond.